Welcome, and you're listening to Geekologist Radio, a division of Mulehorn Gaming Network. Now,
shut up and sit down.
hey, it's Derek, aka Caucasian Saint, and welcome to Geekologist Radio, the podcast where we say screw the co and co-hosts and give you a crew of hosts. First up, let's introduce our crew for tonight's cast. First up, we have Brandon Beefouts.
Hey, what's going on? Beefouts82 here. I hope everybody's having a great day today. Next up, we got Damien.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm a little under the weather right now, so I might sound like Vader throughout the podcast, but that's never a bad thing. And right now, we also have Chris. What's up, man?
Super excited to be wide and awake for this episode, as well as having a brand new co-host with us, which is kind of cool.
Wait. Oh!
I just said we're screwing it.
He needs lashes with a lightsaber.
Epic fail.
Damn.
It's all
I
good.
should have said host.
Rewind. Hey.
All right, Fouts, just cut it out. Ready?
Nope,
Go ahead.
No cutting it out. Just like in the new game that just launched, Forza Horizon, you can have a rewind button. Rewind. Okay, now do it again.
Thank you, guys. Super slow-mo. It's great to be back on this podcast again for this week, and also having a new host helping us out in Derek, which is kind of cool. Caucasian, that's pretty awesome.
Hey, thanks, guys. I'm glad to be here, and I'm ready to geek out legist. That's going to be my thing. Y'all going to just have to get used to it.
That's going to be his private
We'll definitely
t-shirt
deal
when we
with
get
it.
that
Don't worry
going,
about it.
whatever we
Yeah,
figure out.
that'll be my thing on whatever shirt I get or do or whatever we do there. But let's get to our first segment.
Chris is this stuff's going to be bananas.
All right, let's get to our first segment, guys. So I kind of came up with this little thing. We were talking about just kind of talking about shows we would recommend, like kind of shows we've watched recently or something we'd recommend somebody else to see, our listeners to watch. For me, I just want to, and this is stuff that you can like easily access out there in the world, or it might even be coming real soon. But for me, a TV show on Amazon Prime called Bosch. It's sort of a traditional style LA noir detective show, but it has a season-long crime investigation, kind of similar to like The Killing or True Detective, instead of like serialized investigations that end each episode. And for you Destiny, The Wire, and Fringe fans, it has Lance Reddick as the role he plays, the captain. So that's one I suggest checking out. And for a movie just watched on Netflix that just came out called ARQ, or AUQ. It's sort of like the Tom Cruise movie Edge of Tomorrow, but it's sort of the scale of a play and has some very smart and interesting twists. So I'm not going to give away too much of the plot. If you've seen Edge of Tomorrow, you already probably gave away too much, but it's some smart and interesting twists in it. So those are the two things I'd recommend. Anybody else?
I love that movie, so I'm going to be checking that out. That's new on my list. Might watch that tonight.
Fouts, what do you got?
I've actually got a couple. So mine are going way back when, a long time ago for the first one. It's Carl and Phil Ninja Monkeys. Seriously, that is the name of it. It's a little cartoon, great for kids. It's freaking hilarious. Look it up on YouTube. I guarantee you will be laughing so hard you almost piss yourself. The other show I really, really like, and I'm so glad it's back on, is The Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it or watched it very much, but it's on season 10. It's around for 10 seasons. You know it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I watched it with my grandma. My grandma loves that show.
Wait, what is this?
So,
The Big Bang Theory? Wait, oh, yeah, the most popular show on television. Yes, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
I've seen it, yeah.
Some people are crazy and don't.
Jeez.
One other movie I'm excited about that I actually just watched recently was Point Break. It involves a extreme sport athlete. The opening sequence, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it yet, but the opening sequence in Utah was actually filmed about 20 miles from my house.
It's Johnny Utah.
I know.
Are you kidding me? Like, are you watching was it
The
the
new
Keanu
one.
Reeves version?
Oh, no.
The new one that
no,
just
that's
came
good.
out.
Oh, that one's hard. That one's hard trash.
It is.
No. The new one,
Oh,
they
come
used
on.
real, other than a couple of the actors in it, they got real extreme sports people to get on and basically taught them to act to be able to be in this
Right.
film. Originally, it actually had a couple other A-list actors that were going to take on the roles, and then they actually backed out, and so.
Well, they backed out because they realized they had to come against Patrick Swayze as well as Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves, and they're like, "Nope, can't
So wait,
handle this."
we're
and they
remaking
left.
Point Break? No, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't know. I liked it, but mostly
Like-
because it has a lot to do with Utah, which is where I'm from.
Okay.
And like I said, the opening sequence was shot about 20 miles from my house.
Okay.
That's awesome.
was that the skydive scene? Like, was
No,
that the
no,
one where
that's
they all skydived?
the
No?
motorcycle scene.
Motorcycle
right in the very
scene.
beginning.
Okay, all right, very, very cool. Yeah, it was definitely a good movie. It was a good movie for me, like in the '90s. Like it was a kind of a cool. It was like Patrick Swayze coming off of doing Ghost, and so it was like, what can I do to be the anti version of this? And then he did this movie, and then Roadhouse too. But that's for another day.
I love Roadhouse. Don't even get me started
Right.
on that one.
Damien, what do you have as far as movies?
All right, so
Or
what's
TV.
like Netflix or I guess AKA or Showtime. Penny Dreadful is it's only around for 3 seasons, but it's if you like Wolfman and Dracula, all those kind of monsters, it's an interesting dramatization of those in a. I mean, they even got it's just. You need to watch it kind of, but only if you. But be aware that it is very much like Game of Thrones in the manner of violence and nudity and stuff that you see in it. So be aware of that. And if you go into it being aware of that, it's a great show to watch. I really have been hooked on it. I'm just getting ready to finish it up, and I'm kind of sad at that. But going to move on to some other things that I know that Cajun's going to talk about a little later. But also. Stars just had their first episode of Ash versus the Evil Dead season 2. I am I love Bruce Campbell. We kind of touched basis a while back in an earlier episode of who was it that said if Lucy Lawless still looks good. I'm trying to remember.
I did remember
Yeah,
that was way back. That was like 3 episodes
one-
ago. Yeah.
I was like, have you seen? And I said I would talk about it. Anyway, if you're a fan of the Evil Dead series at all, Army of Darkness, any of those, you gotta see Ash versus the Evil Dead. The humor's there. Bruce Campbell's back on his A game. I give props to the guy because he actually, when he wants to be, he is an excellent actor. But he just does it mostly for fun, and so I mean it's his job, but he doesn't do it for extreme amounts of money. He just does it. It's like, yeah, I'll go do this. I'll show up here. He doesn't mind being a B-list actor. But he's also awesome because he's from the Pacific Northwest. So you gotta like him for that too. And then Chris.
I've got like ones that everybody knows about right now, but I'm super pumped because tomorrow starts Luke Cage. Like I'm juiced for Luke Cage. I think all of us are juiced for Luke Cage. All about Marvel. This thing has got reviews already early that are pretty BA. Like everybody's talking about it, which is on par with how Daredevil was, which has me excited. So that's going to be on Netflix. CW. I know that Brandon is probably super excited. Arrow, season 5. Yes.
No. Flash.
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 Wow. No.
I'm looking forward to the new Flash.
Everybody's down. Everybody's
Arrow
super
has
down.
Arrow
All right,
has
he's looking
lost
forward to
me as a fan. I am.
The first few seasons, everybody was pretty excited about
Oh,
Arrow. And I think they've hit like episode 100, so maybe the tides will change, especially if they're trying to involve a lot of DC stuff. But we'll see. And then HBO has the masterpiece, which I am so excited about, Westworld. Like, so that starts next week. So if
That's all
if
of
it
us
is
excited,
everything,
man.
yeah, if it's everything that I hope it is, this will carry us through until GOT. So like, if that happens, then I would be happier than a pig in poo right now. So, speaking of which, there's another season that's going to be starting on October 23rd. If you're a fan of zombies and you're a fan of finding out what happened to Rick and the boys, Walking Dead season 7 starts. I know, and I was talking to the guys earlier. My wife is not a fan of zombies, scary things, or anything else, but for some reason, she is totally into this. That first season was about as boring as all get up. Like, it took forever to get into season 1, probably about 7 episodes. But once we got in, I'm into whether Glenn lives or dies. I'm into whether his kid live or dies. I'm just really excited about Walking Dead.
I love The Walking Dead.
I watched the first 2.5 seasons and I stopped. I couldn't. I got bored with it.
Well,
It runs peaks and valleys with that show. It's like really high and really low. Like you'll get like a season that's and then you'll get another like this season really made a huge comeback. Like I was at the point where I was not sure I was going to continue, and then this season dramatically changed for me.
Well, they went back more into the comic book line. Yeah. They follow graphic novel, and if things are going the way that they said, they're really targeting that, which means we're going to be thrown. People who haven't followed the graphic novel are going to get thrown for a really big loop. Because there's some stuff that's going to happen. I don't know if the viewers of just the TV show are going to be able to handle what the changes are. It'll be interesting.
yeah. So far, like I think every time I've talked to anybody who's like stepped away from the show, or I've had plenty of coworkers watch it, step away, step back, had family members step away, step back. It's almost always been when the cast has been satiated, when they've been at the farm, or when they've been in their little safe city there, or now sanctuary. No, not sanctuary. Whatever they call it, the place they're in now. Whenever they're in these safe places, that's when a lot of people just like, okay, nothing exciting's happening. There's nothing to scare them right now, and I think that's when the show kind of realizes that, and then just brings back like everybody's in danger again, and then people get back into it.
It was really cool. Like when you watch Jeffrey Dean Morgan play Negan in this, and he's got that bat, and when he has Lucille, and he's just, it literally, you have no idea who's on their knees is going to get this bat. Personally, I think it's Abraham, but that's beside the point. But to watch his scene, if you watch the cut scene that they show on, you can see it on YouTube, where they let him loose. And the curse words that are used, because he takes it up to the notch that's in the graphic novel. They actually have to tone it down a lot because they can't use quite a bit of what is used in the graphic novel. It's vicious. It's pretty vicious. Like his character is pure evil. It's pretty awesome.
Well, he played like the anti-hero character in Zack Snyder's
Watchmen.
Watchmen, yeah. He played the comedian. And so when he gets into a role, he really gets into a role. Like I would love to see him after. I mean, he's going to be with The Walking Dead. If they follow the comics, he's going to be with this for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And so, but what I would love to see him in, I would really love for him to come in and play a character. Like I was starting to think about it. How badass actually would it be if you gave him a scar and white hair and had him play Cable?
Oh, you're talking about Cable again.
I'm just saying. He looks like he could be a badass Cable. He could.
I just want him to cast Cable so everybody can be like, all right, this is our Cable now. Because right now everybody is Cable. Cable.
Yeah.
The problem is Cable has to be like late 40s, early 50s. He has to have the gray hair, but he has to be young enough looking so that he can continue in the series for more than like the one movie that he's going to be in. It's so hard. It's really, really hard to justify who's going to be Cable. And you were talking about the like the lulls in Walking Dead. You know what I find interesting is watching Talking Dead, like the after show, and getting to know why they do things and why some of the directors do certain things, and the deviation from the book. Yet they talk about how the graphic novel, how it coincides with the graphic novel. They talk about where they make those deviations. I watch it afterwards, and some of it's cheesy, but there's a lot of good information that's given in that Talking Dead.
Oh yeah, and that really kind of helps, even on the slower episodes. Really kind of hit home some of the main points of it. And like my favorite episode of all time was Clear, the one where he goes and they find. Oh God, I'm blanking on his name now. The guy he meets in episode 1 in that small town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're all blanking on the guy's name now. When he first finds him and he has the town locked off. That was always been my favorite episode, and I can't believe I'm forgetting the guy's name, the character's name now. But he also voices Lord Shat in Destiny.
Yeah, I was just to say.
Yeah, but that's. Like stuff like that. That one's just that episode. Like, yeah, got me. It didn't have to be the big.
Is it Morgan?
Morgan, yes.
Morgan, yes.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I thought. Yeah, with the staff, dude. The Donatello staff. That's all I keep thinking about whenever I see Morgan. Like he's doing ninja moves.
Yeah, if we're done with Walking Dead, I'll go ahead and move
Yeah.
on to a topic we came up the first episode I guested on, but was Kulapari, An Army of Frogs on Netflix. And that one really got my 80s cartoon nostalgia very stirring. Anybody else has watched it since we brought it up?
I've seen the first episode, and I want to tell you something. I caught on something, and I wanted to actually talk about it. So we're all talking about all the different voices we hear, right?
Right.
So not only is one of the voices the actor, and I can't think of his name right now, but the actor that plays Starscream in all the Transformers, he's in it. But also the main villain is played by none other than
Keith David.
Goliath the Gargoyle himself, Keith David.
Yep.
And speaking of gargoyles, Disney, make us a live-action Gargoyles movie, please.
Listen. At this point, they're making a live-action Lion King, so they can make pretty much anything at this point.
Anything.
I almost was embarrassed when I heard about the Lion King thing.
Yep. They're doing a
Jungle Book was
reboot,
okay.
man. It's crazy.
Yeah, the Jungle Book was okay. Please do not embarrass yourselves and make this something as silly as the Lion
That's going to
King.
be an interesting love scene.
Right? Sorry, I'm directing off traffic.
All right.
Okay, back to the Kulapari,
Yeah.
man. That thing,
It's also, I think I'm on episode 11 or so right now on it. And
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah,
I'm on 6.
You're on 6? Yeah,
Yeah.
it keeps, for me, it keeps getting better, and it has the hooks in. It has enough stuff that a kid could like as well, too, but enough stuff for an adult, where it doesn't have adult content, but enough stuff that an adult can really sink their teeth into and enjoy. Long
my
storylines,
son-
epic fantasy stuff going on.
So I've been watching with my 6-year-old, my 8-year-old, and the first episode, they were like, okay, what are we watching, Dad? This sucks. But about halfway through the second episode, they're like, Dad, I actually like this show. And like, okay, well, do you guys want to watch something different? No, we can keep watching this. I'm like, okay, well, you're the boss. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was, last night, we were watching, we started up, we watched the first 3 episodes of Clone Wars, because my son and I are watching it from start to finish now. And then I'm like, okay, let's watch an episode of this. I've been wanting to get you on this. He's like, I don't know. I started up, and he's watching a little bit of it. Gets halfway through that first episode, and he's like, can I stay up and watch more of these episodes? I go, no, man. It's 11 o'clock. You need to get your butt to bed. So, but no, he's hooked, and so
Yeah.
It definitely, like, I heard the voices. I'm like, oh, this is sick.
And so, kind of going back in the 80s nostalgia member berry, South Park is back 2 episodes in. And 2016, just being the crap show of the year it's been for politics and social issues, they just have so much material to pull from. And they are just putting it in right now into just making fun of everything. And there's actually some characters in there called member berries that kind of, you remember this, remember that, and I really think they're going to have a major role throughout the whole season. I love me some South Park, especially after last season, just doing a full season of PC Principle and how that carried through. Just keep one theme and go. I love it.
It's amazing that those 2 shows, The Simpsons and South Park, are able to sustain for the period of time that they've been able to sustain. At this point, it's like people in the background forget that they're still on television, except for the diehards, but they've been on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. Like,
What's really funny is when like your kid or your teenagers, like, it's like watching, the reruns, and then one of the original episodes pops on, and they're like, what is this?
yep.
They're like, the animation style, they're like, what is this? I'm like, this is The Simpsons.
The graphics on the original Simpsons is bad.
Yeah,
It's
there's
really
like,
bad.
this looks like that Beavis and Butthead thing you used to watch. And I go, well, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Or South Park when they still use cardboard paper before computers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So if you guys didn't know, speaking of Simpsons, the station FXX is going to be airing all 600 episodes of The Simpsons in a row.
600.
In a row. Non-stop over 13 days. The marathon starts on November 24th, Thanksgiving Day, through December 6th. The show's 600 episode, which is Treehouse of Horrors, XXVII, airs on October 19th on the Fox Network.
So I'm going to show my age on this. I was part of the age group that actually wore the Bart Simpson shirts that had different sayings on them.
Yeah.
Like, I had, like, and I was a huge fan of the Oakland A's. I had a Jose Canseco, like, Bart Simpson in an A's jersey. Like, they had different sayings everywhere to the point where they were banned in middle school because we weren't allowed to have, like, some of the stuff that he said on there. I feel old, but, like, the nostalgia is coming back.
This is actually the 28th season getting ready to start.
That's
So-
insane. It's insane.
How many of you guys remember the Looney Tune gangster like type of shirts and stuff like that when they're like sagging Bugs Bunny with the sagging bit? Yeah. Just a little note: Xbox Live just went on Periscope. They are at a Gears of War 4 preview event live now with Wiz Khalifa.
That was about a random assortment of words.
So, talking about Looney Tunes,
Breaking news.
Xbox Live Gears of War 4
on
Wiz Khalifa.
Geekologist Radio. Dun, 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 dun. Like, I felt like that needed to come out. Like,
Sorry.
as it came out.
this is breaking news that happened 4 days ago when we recorded.
All right, we have breaking news that's like quasi breaking news. Wrestling this back in. There's quasi confirmation of Deathstroke in Justice League. An article found in Dark Horizon said about a month ago that there was a video tease that Zack Snyder had that showed a board that had Eisenberg speaking somewhere in the vicinity of Deathstroke, which kind of leads to the whole thing that we thought about originally, where we said that, you know, the Arkham and this is where Deathstroke's going to be, and this is going to lead up into the episode. He was going to make a cameo of some sort. What are your guys' thoughts as far as Deathstroke in JLA?
Well, I looked at the pictures and everything, and because one person actually zoomed in on the storyboard that he was working on, and it shows Deathstroke. He's walking in. It looks like he's walking into like a lab area or something, and he's talking with Lex. My guess is that it's either going to be I think it's going to be probably towards the end of the film or even an after credits scene that Deathstroke walks up and is talking to Lex and accepts a contract for Batfleck's head.
But this would be a big deal for DC to have something as an after credits scene because they were so against that because they didn't want to be similar to Marvel in that respect.
However, they did the end credits scene with Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah.
Speaking of things that they did not want to die, Game of Thrones, like it's over, but maybe not so much over. President Casey Bloys has made it pretty clear that Game of Thrones wraps up in 2018, but the network has no plans to give up on the lands of Westeros. The fantasy series is currently in the midst of shooting a shortened season, which we all know about, and they showed some live feeds of Westworld for premiere week next week. But we talked about this like literally like a month ago, right? Like where they plan on trying to do some offshoots of this series. And I raised my hand when I said, please don't do this. Like, please do not pull this out because I feel like they're going to embarrass themselves because it's not going to be that popular. HBO seems to think it is. So, Damien?
Well, what they're doing now is they're finding a way to do stuff that actually, because the author has they brought up that he has like a catalog of prequel style information, like a book, and he wants to put that out. Like he's ready to put that one out now before the final book's even done. And what they're looking at is going forth and being able to bring back characters that are dead and telling their backstory and having more Ned and all that stuff. And so that the possibility of the offshoot will actually be a prequel more than likely for the Game of Thrones.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. When you get invested in characters that have been around for 6 or 7 seasons, the reason why you care and the reason why a lot of people come back to this next season of Game of Thrones is because they've been watching forever. But nobody gives a rat's rear end about who's the mother of, nobody cares.
Yeah, and you can't do it. I don't think you can do it 6, 7, 8, 9 years later with the younger versions just because of aging of them as well. So you'd have to go back to like the Ned Stark who went up to the tower in the recent flashbacks, like that age level where it's like a new casting altogether. But when you have your showrunners already leaving, most of your cast is not going to be there. It's going to be a completely different feel of a show, and I will be very skeptical. I know it's HBO, but I'll be still real skeptical of it because, hey, True Detective was 2 seasons. One was good, one was not. So there you go.
At all.
See, right now they're setting up Westworld to pretty much replace Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Everything
We
they're seeing.
got that for a minimum of 6 seasons.
Yep.
And the thing of it is on Game of Thrones, if you're trying to do callbacks, and to Derek's point, like you're first of all, you're going to be calling back people to look younger than their current age level, which like that always looks bad. Like if it's easier to go up in age. It's really hard to go back in age. You can't look like you're 40 and then all of a sudden look like you're 19. It looks really terrible. And again, Telltale did a series on Game of Thrones, and Telltale kills everything, and nobody cared. Like nobody cares about these side stories if they don't involve the major characters. I don't know. I guess that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. And that reverse aging, like you're saying, like it's so tough. Like you saw like Michael Douglas in Ant-Man and Robert Downey Jr. in the last movie, the last Avengers movie, Civil War. But that's a lot of professional CGI money to make somebody look like that, and you can't spend that for entire episodes making people look that young. You can only dump it a little bit.
Especially for just HBO. Like this isn't movie quality stuff, so they're not going to dump thousands or millions of dollars actually probably in whatever it costs in order to do all this for an entire season.
You mean like Tron Legacy?
Jeez.
I'm sorry, I love that movie.
Oh, same here, dude. I love that thing. Excellent.
All right, we're gonna move on to things that deal with October. We were talking last week about ghouls, goblins, and monsters. Damien, you got something to talk about Universal monsters?
Yeah, so Universal Monsters, it's been known that Universal wants to create a shared universe, and they're still looking. Originally, Dracula Untold was supposed to be the launch of it. If you had seen the movie with Luke Evans, it actually led into they had a character in it that was kind of like played the part of Samuel L. Jackson's going around and picking up all the superheroes.
Okay, Nick Fury. Yeah, like a Nick Fury.
Yeah, Nick Fury. So interesting how they did it. Now, they were kind of put on the backseat. They're like, okay, well, this didn't perform. We liked the movie, but it didn't perform how we wanted it to. So we're going to scrap this, and we're going to start with something new. And so basically what Universal Pictures is still moving ahead with its shared monster cinematic universe, which officially kicks off with the Tom Cruise-led The Mummy reboot early next year. Dracula Untold, at one time, the Luke Evans Dracula film, was supposed to serve as a launchpad. That didn't happen, though a present-day set was built into the film to leave the studio the option of exploiting it if they wanted to. In a recent interview with Latino Review, Evans discussed Universal's plans and confirmed there has been conversations between himself and the studio and his version of Dracula potentially in part of the action after all. There have been talks and conversations. I think the bigger picture is exciting for all the monsters that they own. There is a talk about it, I just don't know how it will manifest itself. I think it'll happen, and I think they're just working out the kinks. And how these monsters will interact and how they end up in the same realm.
Now, The Mummy, are you talking like Brendan Fraser's The Mummy?
No. So now, we're talking about this is a Tom. So this is actually like scary horror style stuff.
Okay.
Tom Cruise is going to play one of the characters, but interesting enough, we're going to get down in here. They're going to have other characters are going to appear, which happens very similar to Penny Dreadful. Other characters from the Universal Monsters lineup will appear as side characters in one film and then go off to be on their own. So, so let's see here.
Skeptical. Derek is skeptical.
So if they can stick Captain America in the scene with Iron Man and Thor, I think you can definitely put Wolfman, the Invisible Man, the Mummy, and Dracula in the same film as well. Hey, they pulled it off with Monster Squad. If we're going to throw back to the 80s, I love Monster Squad.
That reminds me of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Well, yeah, and that one, I like it, even though a lot of people don't like it. And I'm sad that was Sean Connery's last film, but
You'd have to send out a Monster Squad just to find Brendan Fraser.
It's not for Brendan Fraser.
I mean,
he looks like a monster.
The guy
right
fell
now.
off the face of the earth.
He looks like Frankenstein about now.
Yeah.
But the studio is still pursuing the initiative for now. Russell Crowe to be playing Dr. Jekyll in next year's The Mummy. Johnny Depp is up for The Invisible Man, and Javier Bardem is being sought for Frankenstein.
To me, that just sounds like a bunch of like wish list names. Yeah, until that's on
Exactly. I was
contract,
gonna say- I
until
was
they're
gonna
on
say the same
contract,
thing.
that is just some
Oh, they
studio
are.
head just like, these are the people I would like to see.
No, Johnny Depp claimed because they said, hey, they have this list of characters. They were willing to let him play whatever he wanted. He says, I want to play the Invisible Man. And if you think about it, with how outlandish he gets, that's that makes sense.
The thing of it is you're asking 50-year-old men to play these character parts, which the list
Look
that
at Bela
I'm looking.
Lugosi and stuff like that. I mean, come on now. Look at the original horror guys. They played them for years, and then their sons took over. I mean,
We're living in an age where Bela Lugosi would be old to like my kid. So like,
Hey,
you
come
know
on.
what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
come on
I
now.
like because I'm
I'm
thinking
just saying.
he just looks old. Like Johnny Depp looks old. Like and Russell Crowe old. So I don't see this. I absolutely don't see this.
I do.
If my pay per movie was 20, 25, 30 million, whatever Johnny Depp makes per movie, and you're like, pick a character, and he looks down this list of characters, and it's like, wait, is this an Invisible Man? It's just like, I don't have to show up. I just have to like voice a character, and you're going to pay me my full salary. Give me an Invisible Man. Yeah, I don't have to show up on set for that. It's just CG.
Yep. Yeah.
Just CG stuff
What,
moving.
I got 14 days to shoot. Yeah, that's perfect. Sign me up.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty. That's pretty funny. All right. So Adventure Time is ending on the 9th season. Some sad days for parents and kids. The Cartoon Network has announced that the long-running animated series Adventure Time is it's about set to end in 2018 on its 9th season with a total of 142 half-hour episodes, which, by the way, for a cartoon is not too shabby. Especially in this day and age, because people's attention spans are about as short as a YouTube video. So the show follows the Jake the dog and Finn and the human through the post-apocalyptic LSD-infused land of O. And since its debut, the show has become a cult and critical favorite for its creative storytelling and quirky humor, and has won some Emmy awards actually, and a Peabody Award, which I mean, for a cartoon, that you're saying a lot. The show's 8th season is expected to premiere at the end of this year. Just a side note, like cartoons in general. If you look up some of the newer cartoons, we're talking seasons of Star Wars and of Justice League that can't even last 142 episodes. So quite a statement for this show to be lasting as long as it did.
Oh man, when this show started, I was like, I hate the animation, I hate this show, I don't know why my kids like it. And now every single episode, doesn't matter if I've seen the episode, I don't know how many times, I'm sitting there watching when they have marathons. I'm like, okay, it's on, I'm not leaving. I love the show.
Nice.
So we've talked a bunch about jimmies and kicking things in the jimmies and nailing things in jimmies. Damien, you have something about jewels at this point.
Yeah, Comcast is kind of kicking their customers there right now. If you subscribe to Stars or Encore to Comcast,
Why,
and use the
Comcast?
apps-
Why?
No.
You use the apps they provide for Play Anywhere, you either already know or will soon find out they are no longer usable. See, Comcast right now, they're refusing to allow customers to acknowledge they sub to the said channels via the app, as Stars recently combined both their Play Anywhere app and sub-only app, no cable provider necessary, to one app. And that's the same with Encore, because both are the same company. Comcast feels it encourages the cut-the-cord mentality.
That
So-
I highly recommend anyways.
Big
Cut
fan.
the cord.
So, Star's spokesman quoted that they don't understand Comcast's issues as they have always been good in the past. This really affects us console users who primarily watch our TV via apps on consoles, and we try to keep away from having multiple cable boxes and all that stuff. Yeah, so when I tried to watch The Seventh Son the other day, and I was like, I'm going to finally get to sit down and watch that again, and my app didn't work.
I've had that same exact issue, but I've had it with Apple HBO Go. And like if you subscribe through Apple and then you try to go to HBO and then try to sign in, it's a big pain in the rear end. So I call Comcast as a provider, and the reason why I have Comcast is basically they provide my internet, I get my TV for free, that part for free. And they're like, oh well,
Same here.
who'd you subscribe through? And I'm like, oh, through iTunes. And they're like, oh, well, you have to get through HBO. So I had to wait for like 45 minutes on the phone to get a passcode so that I could use HBO wherever I wanted it because I got it through iTunes.
Wow.
It's like it's almost the same exact thing, except that at least they acknowledge the fact that iTunes existed as a corporation. You know what I mean? Apple exists, so you can actually use this. But it was a big pain in the ass.
Yeah, so this is like inevitable, I think. Like Comcast is putting up this fight right now, and I think this is it's more of a ditched effort because to me this is just the inevitability of it all. Like your role in the future, Comcast, is to provide TV for people who still want it, but really it's just to provide internet and all the other providers to provide internet for the people who are going to pay the networks directly on what they want to watch when they want to watch it. And
Yep.
that's the whole thing about the free internet that we were debating all last year. And hopefully we're going to keep net neutrality. But yeah, what you got, Brandon?
Okay, so just like with, if you think about your cell phone plans for the last 10, 15 years, at first you had to pay out the rear end for minutes so you can call people, but you could use as much data as you want. And then they switched it and said, okay, we're limiting your data, but now we're going to give you unlimited calls and text. They're going to flop around like that, and now it's going to, well, now you can stream whatever media you want, but we're still going to charge you for data, and you have a different premium for your talks and just your text.
I'm
It
actually
changes
kind of-
and evolves.
I'm really shocked that internet or that like Comcast and Time Warner don't charge you data to stream. Like I'm shocked they haven't figured out a way to do that yet, because that would make sense for them to capitalize on something like that.
There's like 3 or 4 states right now that they're testing it in, and they have data caps. And I'm telling you, my kids alone with their streaming and stuff and posting and all that stuff alone go over that data cap each month.
Yeah.
I've looked at it, so I'm like, eesh. But I'm hoping, because those states are really getting irritated with it because they keep getting charged overages, that Comcast isn't able to eventually force that on everybody.
I don't understand the difficulty. Like, Brandon, is there a huge difficulty with data and making it a premium product? Like, I mean, people use it. Like, are we throttling people because so many people are using it?
It depends on where you're at. Small area like where I'm at, the provider has X amount of bandwidth, and it's got to split it between so many customers. Now, you get to a big area like where you guys are all at, and you get big name companies like Comcast and all that, there should be no issue. It's just money. It's greed.
Greedy.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, and from the business standpoint, it's like it's the same thing. They have their revenue. They have to hit every year. They have their growth plan that they're every year. And if they're losing money every year, they're going to do any means necessary to make that revenue. And if that's the way they end up doing it, a good plan. I never thought of that if I was actually changing the charging to, instead of your speed, to how much data you consume. And yeah, that's something.
See, another thing is, just speaking of business, if you call the phone company, your cable company, or something like that for your internet, you tell them it's for a house line, they're going to give you this amount of data for this much. If you tell them it's for a business, they're going to give you twice as much data for about 15 times as much. They overcharge, and they charge you more as a business than they will as a house, but the service doesn't increase all that much. And that's just so they can get their money quota.
So is it a requirement to charge? I mean, is it a requirement to claim that you're a business?
Unspokenly, yes.
Okay, but not unspokenly. If you're a homeowner, like if you're a homeowner and you run your business out of your home, you could just keep your mouth quiet and run it as
Right.
residential, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would assume that somewhere in the terms and conditions of when you sign your agreement with them for them to provide service, you're saying everything is true. This is residential use or this is business use. So if you say this is residential use and they find out they could potentially come back at you for lost revenue if they were pissed off enough. It would be something.
They'd have to find a way to prove that it was actually a business use first, which on their end might take more than it would take a lot on their end to figure that out, or just too much effort for them to even bother with. I guess
Right.
is more where I would go on.
Right, and so many people working from home now, it'd be tough to say, no, this is just me working from home. It's not a business. This is just me.
Currently, we have, and I'm going to transition here, boys. 4 Guardians on Xbox One.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to get into and discuss everybody's light level, because it could be a very touchy subject when people start talking about light levels. It's almost embarrassing. It's like, where are you? and people are posting per day right now.
Here's
but
mine
if
right
you're-
here. Here's my light level.
Yeah,
right
right.
Here,
Here's
Jim.
my here. Hey, what gun do you have? What,
It's on the
what
table.
purse do you have? What do you got? What do you got?
It's on the table.
But if you've been playing video games over the last about week and a half, and I'm assured all of our Twitter feeds, and that might be biased depending on who we're looking at and who we follow, But Rise of Iron has been a major topic amongst everybody that I am friends with online or who I pay attention to. And after the release of Rise of Iron, there's been some major things coming up that have been like just bombshells over the last like week. Brandon?
Okay, so real quick, like you said, we're all on Xbox One. Now, you are originally a PS4 Destiny player.
I
with
am,
max
which by the way,
characters
I'm taking a lot of crap for right now by being back on Xbox One. I'm taking a lot of crap.
Okay, but do you regret it?
No, you know what? The process has been super, super fun for me, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. I've been able to play with you and some of the Mulehorn guys, which was a blast. And originally, I was running strike missions. I ran my first Nightfall with a bunch of Prime Collective guys, which, by the way, a bunch of really good dudes. Like, I had a great time when I played with those guys. And then I mentioned, hey, I'm near raid level, but I don't really know because the raid popped at like 352 for me. And Brandon, Caucasian, says to me, he goes, hey, are you up for a raid tonight? Like, and it pops, and I see the thing, and I'm playing with Mulehorn at the time. And Mule's like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm going to go raid, dude. I'm not going to go, like, and I'm like, are you cool with that? And it's always one of those really weird situations where you're like, are you cool with me leaving a mission with you so that I can go raid? And he's like, no, man, do whatever you got to go do. And then when I hopped on with you, Derek, I was like, am I going to get smoked here? Because I don't want to embarrass myself in front. And actually, it was a great time. I'm going to say this as politically correct as I possibly can. I threw a lot of balls. That was my
Yeah.
In both missions, I was the ball thrower because
Yeah.
of being so light.
Damien, when we get Damien into the raid, he'll be the ball thrower too. I mean,
he'll be the ball thrower, and then I'm going to have to assume a different role, maybe. If
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
involved in that.
You have to teach Damien how to throw balls correctly. My first raid, I was the ball thrower. I was a low man on the totem pole ball thrower the first raid. Yeah.
But the best part about being in either of those experiences, and on PS4, I'm part of Destiny Reset group, and they're a bunch of really, really good guys. They were like I mentioned on the podcast about a month back. They were showcased on Bungie's website and everything. They're a bunch of really good dudes, but I had just a great time. Like, everybody was really understanding. It's like, hey, I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't run this before. I haven't done this part. Hey, I'm under light for the Nightfall. We were under light for the Nightfall at 3. Like, it was silly. It was like 3:40 something. It was dumb. Like, there's no way we should have even been involved. We took out that Nightfall. It took almost 45 minutes to do so. But, like, those are the kind of experiences where you, like, do that as a group, and then you have, it's just, you remember that night. Like, I remember, and, like, all those guys, and I give a shout out. It was just a lot of fun. Brandon?
Water cooler moments.
Yeah.
So, the Nightfall last week was the Wretched Eye, right? Is that
Oh,
right?
it was such a pain in the rear end. Oh, yeah.
Did you know there's a cheese for it?
Yeah, I saw the cheese spot.
After.
Listen, we made like 3 different cheese spots. In fact, Iron, part of Prime Collective, was like, hey, try this extra cheese spot and then try this. And so we did, and we found out that none of the cheese spots, like, we were getting smoked in both cheese spots. So then it was just like, all right, Chris, just run. Like, whatever you do, just run. If you can take a couple of shots off, shoot a couple of shots off, and then run. Because they were higher light level than I. They were like 350 at the time. So they were probably more equipped than I was to get in. But, like, at no point, I was like, I'm so sorry, I feel bad. And they were like, no, don't worry about it. Why are you even apologizing? No big deal. Like, we're having fun. I'm like, awesome. And then they were like, oh, we're going to finish this one strike mission. And I'm like, I'm ready for bed. And then they were like, are you sure you can't help us out for one more? And I'm like, well, I got a glass of bourbon. I guess I could handle one more strike mission. I'm sure you guys are in the same...
Welcome back to Destiny.
Literally. So are you guys in the same position? It's like, all of a sudden you look at your watch and it's like 2, 3 in the morning and you're like, I got to be to work in 3 hours. That's how I was with Taken King. It's exactly the same way I am with Rise of Iron.
So I've been really sick like the last few days, and like typically and so I've been down on the couch. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna, because I snore really bad on top of being coughing, and my coughing's super loud. So and so instead of keeping the wife up, I come up, let her get some sleep, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna pass out from medication. And then like someone will message me, like, hey, can you get on and play some Destiny? And I'm like, I'll play one round. That's never. It's never one round. It's never
one round.
It takes me like 45 minutes just to finish decrypting engrams and like going around the tower and stuff. Like, I'm just gonna like turn this off. This is my last time I'm going to bed. And next thing I know, it's like 15 minutes later, I might still be in party chat chatting with them, and I'm slowly moving around the tower. I'm like, oh, that faction's close. Let me edge that one up, get it over, see what I got. Ooh, that's cool. Let me level that thing up. And ooh, I got this, and I got that. And it's just like, next thing I know, it's over a half hour later, and I was a half hour later just signing off.
Yeah, and
see, the thing is, Chris, you have yet to experience Uprising during Iron Banner week.
but I literally, I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait.
But what you don't understand is it's like group after group after group of full team of people talking, and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to log off, and you don't log off because you have the conversation.
All right, guys, one more game. 20 games later, I got to go to, oh shit, I got to get up for work.
Yeah.
No, well, and that's
exactly.
that's how it was. Like, and Derek was in that. We were in that raid, and we got up to the Zamboni, and I'm like, it was 2:30 in the morning. I had to be up in less than 4 hours. I actually ran the first one without you guys. You were like, "Are you leaving?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm just gonna like." I literally was just kind of going through the motions, but I was still going into it. And then I'm like, "Okay, really, I have to go at this point."
Yeah, because we were like, oh, because what happened was, I think it was almost an hour before we actually beat Vosik, the second boss in the raid, if people were listening and don't know where that was. But right about an hour before that, we had gotten close. It was like next run, and then we got even closer, and then it's like, all right. Two of us sitting there like, okay, I do need to go to bed, but okay, I was close. We're going to try that different strat. And then like an hour later, after he had said it earlier, we finally take him down. We're getting our loot and fusing up and all great and stuff like that. And then as we're like, I can tell it's turning down. I'm like, hey, Tuos, you want to come over here to the chest over here?
Yep. So he said that. He was like, you want to go to the chest? And I'm like, well, I got 20 more minutes. Like, as soon as you said a chest or exotic chest, it got me all excited again. I'm like, all right, well, I can't stop at this point. Because when we got to that second boss, I was like, all right, well, I have to, like, this is the last run or I have to go. And then we beat it on that run. It was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, there's 2 more chests. And I'm like, there's 2 more chests? And then
like, what kind of chests?
I'm texting. What kind of chests? And then I'm texting Brandon's on Discord, and he's like, so how does it go? And I'm like, I don't know. The internet won't let me, like, and because the servers.
I saw that.
The servers started crapping on me, and I'm like, I can't decrypt 35 Ingrams. I don't know what light level I am.
You were losing your crap, man.
I
just
want
to decrypt my Ingrams.
I
gotta decrypt them.
And the reason being is because, like, everybody in Discords are posting wherever they're at. So, I mean, it's like a status level at this point. It's like, so what level are you? And, you know, like, I'm not even 360. I'm like, come on. So, in any case, a really great time with the Prime Collective guys. An amazing time with the Uprising guys. Like, I said this before in a previous podcast. The best thing about Destiny is the fact of how warm everybody is. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're confused, there's always a clan, there's always a group, there's always a bunch of guys, and everybody's always willing to be understanding if you don't know how to do something. And it's always like, don't worry about it. And the best part about this, in both cases, there was no arguing, nobody was yelling, nobody was screaming at anybody. It was no worries, we'll get it on the next round. We'll get it on the next round.
Hang on now, Cajun wasn't telling you to get to a certain point.
Oh, I was telling
make sure you get.
I was basically telling him, take up your hand, make an L, and you're on the left side. At the beginning, I was like, you're left, he's right. And I look up, and like when we're doing the sparks at the beginning, here's 2 wolves on the right. I'm like, pick up your hand, do an L. You're on the other side.
Yeah. Once I learned where my spot was, and listen, you know that I'm already handicapped right to begin with because I'm a warlock. So like I'm doing the air jump, and I'm doing I'm doing the jump, and I'm floating. You know, and I'm dancing, and then I gotta figure out when he counts to 2. He's counting to 2. He's like, when I hit 1, you gotta throw it. Well, I'm a warlock. I gotta shoot it 2 because it takes me an extra 2 seconds to get up in the midair. You know how that goes.
It takes you an extra 2 seconds to get it up, huh?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Warlock style. Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff that's happening in Rise of Iron that's come across over the last week. And more or less, it's talking about Destiny 2. And things that are going to be happening. See, listen, people are not happy enough that we already have Rise of Iron out. We're already talking about Destiny 2, and we're already concerned about what's going to happen a year from now. The first thing that we've noted is the fact that there's going to be a PC release. And they've made it very clear this is happening on PC. What are your guys' thoughts about PC? Because I have some not so warm feelings about PC.
Has it been truly clear PC, or is that just the leak? Have they confirmed that the leak is leak?
No.
That's confirmed.
That's
PC.
confirmed by
Okay.
Bungie.
Confirmed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they had it to their I think it was investors where they released the intention of a PC release, which at that point was like, oh, so this is real. Like everybody collectively like was holding the breath, like, please don't let this be real. Please just let it be a console exclusive. And then they were like, okay, which then you've got to figure out who they're going to release it to. Are they going to release it on Steam? Is it GOG? Who's gonna get this?
You know, honestly, I'm surprised that with them cutting the 360 and the PS3, they didn't release Rise of Iron on the computer.
The Play Anywhere, at least for Xbox. Yeah,
Not even so much as the Play Anywhere, just as a Steam release. Because I mean, they're getting rid of all the limitations that they supposedly, quote unquote, had due to old gen consoles. They could have very easily just said, "Okay, well, here's your PC release now."
The article I was reading, though, had a lot of issues with the fact that they were trying to. The reason why we're stuck in the Plague Lands and the reason why we have to go back to repurposed items inside of Destiny is because of the way that it was set up originally. And so they're trying to just make it's make shit up. They're just trying to MSU this in order to try to get it to the point where they can get to Destiny 2. Honestly, as a Destiny fan, they made lemonade out of a lemon. They really got a piece of poo. And they've turned it into a game that people care about, and they haven't been able to change a whole lot, and they've repurposed a whole lot, but they've still made people care about this game, which it's fantastic. What they've done for this type of game, any other company would have just flatlined on this thing. I believe that.
Division.
Yeah, The Division. We're not even going to start there because seriously, I'm going to end up I'm going to have a lot of hate mail, but. They've done quite a bit, and the PC release.
It's all gonna be from me.
The PC release scares me only because of. I brought this up on Twitter. I think it was yesterday, day before yesterday. If there are people that are already pissed off about red barring and people about lag switching, and I talked to you, Brandon, about this because I wanted to get more information on how about people go or how people go about lag switching. If you're worried about that now on console, be very, very worried about that on PC because this is going to go rampant on PC. This game is going to go, like, people are just going to go bonkers on PC with lag switch. Damien?
Well, I mean, I don't want to down-talk Division, but PC and Division, they had so many cheaters on that. It's just, it's going to happen, and it's going to be sad. And so, and they haven't released it on PC. Like Bungie hasn't, I mean, they only had a couple Halo games that they released on PC. So it's, granted, they started out as a PC company or a Mac company actually. It'll be interesting, in some ways it's them going back to what they started, like back with Marathon and all that. It'll be interesting, but yeah, the lag switching so much easier to do on a PC. I mean, there's literally you just go to Radio Shack and you buy a couple pieces and you have it ready to go.
You can go to Walmart and buy the pieces.
Oh God!
But then you
talk about like a screwdriver. It was like such basic stuff that like anybody.
Yeah, it's old items. You need a screwdriver, some wire cutters, and a light switch and a piece of Cat 5 cable.
Yep,
that's it.
Derek, how do you feel about the watering down? Like the fact that PC may get a bad rep for what console, like the console version may not even have this issue, but the PC version may water this down and make that press is going to end up trickling down into the console version.
Well, I think that press could trickle down to the console version, but because Destiny has such a strong following, I want to say good following because it started off just getting terrible reviews from so many people, and then just a community behind it kind of kept the game going, let them fix the stuff, and then got the hype to where it is today, where their new releases are getting good reviews. I think it has enough following behind it that a PC version could take a tank. Like a PC version could have lag switching like crazy, could have hackers getting into every area with the best loot for free, like we're seeing in some other games, and the game itself, Destiny itself, won't take as big of a hit as other games because it has 3 years of growth and improvement behind it on console that people just point to. Look, it's good over here. Don't get it over there.
They're gonna have to put some serious groups on this in order to try to deflect any of this hacking. Like it's going to have to be a major issue. And the other thing they're going to have to do on Destiny's side is up these servers. Like they can't continue to have what they're having right now because if they do, I mean, we launched a console, Rise of Iron, as far as an expansion, and we had queues. So imagine adding PC to this mix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's also some major character changes that they've talked about. They talked about changing the narrative and the terms of the plot direction, which may or may not scare some people who are really, really invested in anything that is outside of Destiny, because that's the only way that you can find out through the grimoire how things occur in Destiny. They're going to change
the lore podcast.
The lore podcast, right? Some of the pacing and structure. They promised for a scheduled content release in Destiny 2 that was consistent. We talked about this. I literally started laughing immediately when I read this statement, only because it's unfair to do this. Like, they should not pin themselves in a corner by doing so. Just say the content will come out when we can, as consistently
when it's ready.
When it's ready, as consistently as we can get it out. Like when it's ready for release. Because if you pin, and Damien, you were part of the Division issue, and when this comes out and you say it's going to come out on this date and it's going to come out on this date and this date, and then you don't hit the dates, the whole collective mind loses their crap over this.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, one of the. Yeah.
It's hard to talk.
But
it's hard to talk about because you get really passionate about a piece. And
it is because like I still love the Division, and like I even hopped back into it and was checking it out for a bit, and all the changes aren't here yet, but they are doing little changes here and there that they haven't even announced really, and those are noticeable. I'm still staying the hell out of the Dark Zone, but and it's hard for me to break myself away from Destiny. It's like Destiny's got its death grips at me. But
it's got its death grips to me so much right now that I'm thinking about running strikes as soon as I'm finished up with this. I'm like, do I do the podcast? Do I run strikes? Do I do the podcast? Do I run strikes?
365.
But
365. Yeah, I know.
I am 365. Just saying.
Dang.
One of the things you're talking though about with the narrative changes and stuff like that, they brought over. So they got people that they brought over from. They have people that they brought over from the Guild Wars team. Now Guild Wars, NCSoft America, they're actually located north. They're located here in Seattle, and they got a couple of their story people to come over. And Brandon and I are both very familiar with Guild Wars, and the storyline in Guild Wars, especially Guild Wars 2, are really good.
Yes, it is.
Really good cutscenes. They go deep into the character development.
That's what.
Now they got these guys working on story. I knew when they brought them over that a lot of that was going to be for Destiny 2. Well, one of the other things they're talking about is so Destiny 2, and as the content schedule, if anybody was played like World of Warcraft, they have a calendar in game. You can pull it up. It's like they have an event, this Festival of Souls or something like that comes around this time of the month, or they have a carnival and this stuff. They have these different PvP events that come around. All the stuff you can look on the calendar to see where it's at and plan what you want to do. You can even put little logs on it. Essentially, now, and this is also, guess what? World of Warcraft. It's Blizzard. Guess what? Activision owns it. Well, Activision is pulling people from all their different studios in to work with Bungie on Division. Ha!
Fail.
Wishful thinking. Destiny 2. On Destiny 2. They want the planets to feel like planets. They want, when you go to the planet, they want you to be able, they want it to feel alive. So there's going to be fauna, there's going to be animals, all that stuff, plant life, more plant life. They want it to feel like a real planet. There's going to be villages. You're going to get quests and missions from exploring and actually exploring.
So they want this to be Mass Effect.
Well, hey, it's not a bad thing.
I mean, that's because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds a lot like Mass Effect.
A multiplayer Mass Effect. Hey, that you would get story. You would have story.
There you go.
There was one Mass Effect
go.
that couldn't even land on the planet. Come on.
Yeah.
Destiny will let
I'd
you
love a
land on the
dialogue
planet.
Because they took away the vehicle.
Yeah. Oh, that was Mass Effect 1. The one thing that I think that hit home with all of us, because we've all been through an exotic quest line, is the Outbreak Prime Weapon quest line that just came out, and all the envy of every person that saw this pulse. It was so $390 on the drop. I mean, everybody lost their collective crap when because it was Datto that went through this, and found it originally.
My son's watched that video like I don't know how many times.
I mean, he made it a mission to find this thing, which I think was really, really cool. Like, the progressive steps that you have to do to it actually gets easier after the whole beating of the raid thing. It actually gets easier along the way to get this weapon. but man, there's a lot of stuff, and it makes the sleeper simulate look like a joke as far as what needs to be accomplished in order to get it done.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, as soon as we all get light level, like me actually getting light level, we're gonna go after this quest line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
You
have
have to be able to beat you got to beat
the raid
originally,
twice.
so-
You got to beat the raid
yeah.
twice. Yeah.
Oh, you have to beat it twice.
Yep.
You got to beat it one time to get the quest line, and at the end of the quest line, you have to go back through and beat the raid again.
Yeah, 'cause you got to go through the hidden room. You gotta beat
Can you beat it in the Can you beat it in the same week then?
You can beat in the same day.
Same day.
yeah,
Okay, so it has
yeah.
nothing to do with. Okay,
Yeah, and you don't need to go into that room again the second time. You just need to beat it the second time.
nice.
Yeah, you don't need to do the monitors and go into the room the second time. But the whole unlocking of the monitors, like that, the community just rallied around it. First, the monitor was found. I think it was Professor Broman found it on their run through of the raid. Found the fifth monitor, and it's just like, all right, community, we found something. Go after it. And the community started digging in, finding monitors. People would find one, everybody would freak out, and then it was just everything just came to a halt. Where's the fifth monitor? And then all of a sudden, this website pops out of nowhere, and people start decrypting it with cryptology that was just way above my head. And I was just looking at this like, oh my God, like what are they doing? How many like pieces of information are they putting? Oh, they're turning this crypt thing is turning into images, and now they're putting it together like a giant puzzle piece. And this puzzle piece is now a room in the raid, and it gets like the starting piece of the puzzle that allows you to move forward with it. It's just incredible what Bungie put into this quest line, and I think this is what people thought the Sleeper Simulator was going to be, and why people were complaining. And Bungie heard them, and that's to say they always will listen. They heard like this was not tough enough. I didn't. People were just like this isn't worthy of this. I don't care if the gun is even great. Give me a worthy quest line for your main exotic weapon. Oh, they did it this time. Like the amount of steps and things to go through is crazy.
Yeah, they went.
How
they
do you
went all
feel
out.
about like
Yeah.
like the storyline? So there's like one of the things is people are like saying, "Oh, the storyline's slow," But I said no. There's more story as you progress through the game. The storyline alone with the exotics. I mean, if you want a little bit of nostalgia, you go get the Kostov. You get that, and then you get that little kind of aw moment with your ghost.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, man. Yeah, get tears where
I'm glad I picked you. I'm glad I picked you.
Oh, it was some good stuff
This
there.
is what's really cool is the fact that they did some of the AR stuff with this, and then they were able to keep it in game too. So that's how it drawed the community together. Like if you have something that's exciting, as opposed to like being a random drop that nobody knows how you got it. This here it involved the community outside of the game, and then brought them into the game, and then that whole AR thing disappeared for a bit, and then like you said, Derek, it popped back up again.
Yeah.
And then like. I saw it pop up online. It hit every Discord and every Slack channel I was in. It was like, everybody find what this means. And people were like putting things in like crazy. So it's just really cool. It forces you to be dedicated to a raid team. And I believe it forces you to have a Titan, a Warlock, and a Hunter, correct? In order to get this accomplished. Too.
All at
so,
the same spot.
Yeah.
They all have to be at the same place of the quest line too. That's the piece that I found out today. Somebody asked me to join them. I was like, I'm a hunter, and it's like, oh, you have to be at the same spot of the quest line to do it too for the decrypting phases of it. So you can't just be a Titan Warlock Hunter. You have to each be like at phase 1 and then to phase 2 and then to phase 3.
Is there a timeline on the quest line? Like, so say I beat it the first time and I don't get back to the raid to go through it the second time like a week later. That's it? Like, you can do it whenever you feel like at your leisure at that point?
I think from my understanding, which is, again, this is just we're less than 48 hours into it, is you wouldn't need those same people, but you would need a Titan, a Warlock, and a Hunter in fire team with the same level, because at the 4 different decrypting stages, you all need to be entering in your codes into it, your different codes for your different classes, and hitting and unlocking at the same time. So you all hit unlock, and then it gets you ready, like, oh, you can hit that button. But unless all 3 of y'all have the codes entered correctly, then you won't be able to click the button. So you need 3 people, 3 different classes at, say, level 2 code unlock to have them in at the same time for you to be able to click that button. So
so it sounds like you need a date night after the raid
Yeah.
for the next day in order to get this thing accomplished.
or just LFGing on Slack. Just, hey guys, who is on this step? Like I stepped away.
Dang.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling like this sounds like a bad joke. It's like, so a Titan, a Warlock, and a Hunter walk into a raid.
They walk out with this Seaver cluster stuck up their.
Whoa, whoa.
And then they have to decrypt it 4 different
Whoa,
ways, all running
way.
around the same thing at the same time. I
I'm
didn't
not
say
sticking
it. I
anything
didn't
in any
say it.
orifices.
Hey, what was that TV show you were telling us about last week, Damien?
Yeah, no.
No. It got renewed. It got renewed. It got picked up.
It did it?
It got picked. It got picked up for sure.
I actually watched the first episode, and it actually looks like it's going to be a pretty good series. The Jean-Claude Van Damme one, I think it got picked up too, and I'm like, gosh, no, why? But the problem is I know I'm probably going to watch it. I'm one of those people. It's like I didn't want it to get picked, but I will probably watch it just because he is actually kind of funny. Him making fun of himself.
You also probably see him do a split. I mean, the guy's got to be. He's
what
is he, like 65? If he could do that split,
He does.
that's the bee's knees right there.
All right, so getting back into Destiny and the raid, my prediction, this is going to help tide us over until Destiny 2, is I think mid-April we're going to get revamps of the original raids. A revamp
sure.
of Vault of Glass, a revamp of Crota's, and they're going to have challenge modes. And I think that'll come out in about March or April.
Yeah. To go follow on that, like there was an interview somewhere, I forget which article, with a higher up at Destiny, and they asked that question, and he did say, yes, we are considering looking into going into those raids in the future, and that was pretty good to hear him say that. So yeah, I think it falls right in line there, and also kind of with because I don't think they will be releasing any other DLC until Destiny 2, because I mean this is the live team. When they came out and said the Rise of Iron team was like the live team that everybody else is working on Destiny 2, it's like we have a skeleton crew until Destiny 2 comes out, so we're not going to get a ton of new exploration content. It's just going to be repainted stuff until Destiny 2 comes out.
No, we're going to get the Halloween event. We'll get SRL again back in December. They've already stated both of those things. And then my guess is the new or the old raids will get a revamp and brought up to current level stuff.
All right.
Just for the nostalgia right before version 2.0 comes out with Destiny 2.
All right, now we're going to get into some Division talk. I know that Dane, Brandon, you're pretty passionate about the Division. Derek, I'm not so sure. I know that I was originally up to level 30, and then I just started getting griefed inside the Dark Zone and decided to walk my way right back out for a game that I bought on both PS4 and on Xbox One because I was so excited about it. Yep. Yeah, I'm down about $200 on that game. Yep. So there's supposed to be some comeback, Damien, on the Division. What are some changes that we're going to see? It's 1.4, correct?
Yeah, so 1.4, so basically they're trying to put it in line as much as they can with, and this is something I kind of called, is that I felt like it was a beta for the engine and everything. They're basically trying to keep it still within the RPG elements, but bring it closer in line to March's launch release game of Ghost Recon Wildlands. So they're trying to bring more the dynamic from that game into the Division. So time to kill is being reduced. They've revamped a lot of the PvP stuff that's going to be going in. Dark Zone, I got my ass handed to me way too many times. It was like every single time I walked in there, it was like a scene from American History X. It was bad.
I loved the Dark Zone. I don't know what you guys' problem was. I had fun.
Hey, I was good when I was walking with you, McNasty, but hey.
Yeah, see, for me, like I played the Division. I was really getting more and more into it. I felt the grind was almost 10 times grindier than Destiny, and I felt Destiny was a grind anyway, and it was like that. It's a little too much grind for me, but it was Destiny law for me. I was playing Division, but what got me was when the first DLC dropped for the Division, and that other free DLC dropped for Destiny at the same time. and I looked at the Division DLC, and I was like, that is basically a single prisoner elders boss in one room fight, and I'm gonna go over here. And I don't know what it was, but I just looked at that way. I looked at what the fight was. I was watching some streamers that day when it dropped, and I was like, I'm gonna be over here. And then I just never went back. I don't know what it was about it. I wasn't like entirely angry. It's like it just didn't intrigue me at all. Fighting a stationary boss in one room, and I was done.
Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes with Falcon Lost. It was horribly done. And then the amount of errors and cheeses and glitches that came out of that, it broke that game to almost beyond playable. I am totally guilty. I am a guilty man about doing all of those glitches, and I was taking half of our Uprising clan that was playing the Division at the time through that and showing him exactly what to
Getting
do.
some of them banned.
Yeah, a couple people got a couple-day ban from that. I didn't.
The Division is a game that just burned me. Like it's almost like a girl that you are like really excited about going out with, and she's super hot, and then all of a sudden she treats you like crap. Like not at first, just after a while. That's the Division. That's the Division for me. I had such high hopes. I have the Division book. I have the expansion book that comes with it. I bought it on both consoles. I was just all in from the E3, both E3 well, there's three, I guess, 3 E3 demos of this game, and then getting griefed in the Dark Zone. It's like, so this is the end game? I'm just gonna get smashed every time I walk into this area, and there's no other single player for me to do. And so when I heard about the patch, we were talking to Deep Fried Dave about it, and he was pretty pumped and excited about what was coming up. And then I see what comes up, and it's like, okay, well, this looks like a little bit more of the same, maybe a few minor adjustments, but not enough. Like, at this point, there have been 15 other games that have come my way that now I've almost forgotten about you, like, because it hasn't been enough. Brandon?
Now, I've already bought the season pass. If I hadn't already bought the season pass, I probably wouldn't give this the time of day. But since I do have it, I am going to try it out when 1.4 and when Survival comes out to see how much has changed. But some of the proposed and changes that are actually in the work is more for the end game stuff. Like the actual world you run around in outside of the Dark Zone has different tiers to it. So you can choose what difficulty pretty much you're going to be playing outside of the Dark Zone. And I think that's going to add a lot to it. And I think the best part about it is they're giving birth to the Bullet King. The Bullet King is coming back.
Birth to the Bullet King. And as a side note, in Destiny patches today, death to the cheese. Omnigul no longer spawns nor gets you anything. So you're going to have to grind your way up to that 365.
Yep. Which, in the strike playlist, is just a little extra time. Omnigul is one of the longest strikes anyway, getting to her. Once you get there, if you got a good team, you can grind it out. But then fun factor in the strike playlist was significantly higher, I felt. If I got bored on Omnigul, I just went elsewhere.
I can't stand that screech. That screech bothers me every time I have to hear it.
Yep.
Damien, there's some news with Oculus Rift.
Yeah, I got that one. That's
all right.
Yeah,
all right, Derek.
Some game developers, VR tech companies, and fans are dropping support for the company Oculus Rift due to revelations that the co-founder Palmer Luckey was funding an extreme political group called Nimble America. One of their tenets was raise a huge amount of money to crap post across America, and I edited that for content. They had some vulgarity in there. So needless to say, companies and conscious consumers are speaking with their wallets, and they're steering clear Oculus Rift. And this is fresh news. So I don't know how many more are going to drop them since, but that's pretty devastating for a company that was bought by Facebook.
Especially from a company that was originally funded by,
But Xbox.
Yeah. No, it was originally funded through means like a Patreon. So I mean, when you fund something, you fund it with some moral aptitude that where you're assuming that this company is going to be forthright, and that when you find out that information where he's doing this, it definitely hits, especially in a year of a presidency, right in the feels with people who are in that midst of that election. So they start to get angry and they get a little upset, and I can see where this can go south for them.
Right.
on a VR headset, which if Oculus isn't going to make it, really scares me about Vive, and it completely scares me about the PS VR experience.
I can tell you, if you have a system that can run Vive, you have no problem. Vive is it's crazy. I from experience and actually getting to see everything that they're doing with it, it's just having the system that can run it.
The problem is being scared to actually make a purchase because you don't know if it's going to be worth your time or effort. And
we actually have a clanmate that's going to be picking one up, and so we can have him on after he gets it. He built his computer recently just to run it, so he's going to be picking one up, and he'll come on the episode and talk about it.
But the people who are purchasing this are like almost the elite of the elite gamers. They're the tip of the sword. They're the people that are willing to go with these air quotes experiences versus rigs, which is they're charging us a full game, but now I'm hearing more and more is not really actually a full game. And so the people that are investing in this may or may not know what the heck they're getting into. I mean, I'm assuming you do because you're purchasing it off of Amazon. Well, it's on Target's website right now. It's on Walmart's website actually right now at the $3.99 price. So you can go through major retailers, but the people that have pre-ordered this should have some idea of what's going on.
Both Vive and Oculus Rift were at PAX being tested with games like Fallout 4, Doom, and Elder Scrolls Online. So that in itself, having seen things like that, leads games like being able to have that support for, say, Destiny 2, possibly, and with PlayStation VR. And in their connection, that could actually technically become, like, I hate to say it, but a PlayStation exclusive. Hey, you want to play Destiny in VR? You have a PlayStation.
I could actually see that happening, especially since the Xbox is going to be stranded on this one. And if Oculus is going down, they've tied themselves to a ship that's falling. But they're going to have Facebook support. They're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine. It's just a matter of filtering through the PR nightmare that they may have to deal with originally.
Right, exactly. People will forget about it. It's just how long is the sticking power? And I think the marketing team, the public relations team at Facebook and Oculus is going to be able to spin this, and it will probably die out fast considering the attention span most people.
Speaking about attention span, the game that Damien's about to talk with had an attention span for Xbox One owners of about maybe a month, 4 weeks.
Oh man, I played it a lot longer than that.
And then it went away, and then all of a sudden, because it went away, the updates were really, really good again. The game we're talking about is Titanfall, and the game that Damien's actually going to be speaking about is more so Titanfall 2.
Yeah, so just today, actually, was the first episode of YouTube Gaming Live. And during it, they have exclusive video stuff that they were showing of Titanfall 2 gameplay. More so of the campaign and how they went about it. So you see, it answers one of the questions I had. So you have this Titan that you're connected to in the campaign, and they have a bond with the pilot, and so you're not supposed to switch it out. But I was trying to figure out how you're going to get different loadouts. Now you got to think of the Titan that you have is this new advanced form Titan. Think of him as Mega Man. Now, he actually will carry on conversations with you, just like when you're playing Destiny, you got the other side characters that are messaging you. Your Titan will do the same thing with you during your storyline missions. But as you defeat bosses in the campaign or other Titans, you can basically pick up that Titan's loadout, and now, even though that Titan was a Ronin or that Titan's this flight type of Titan, your Titan now has the ability to have that skill set. Which, to me, I was like, okay, that answered that question. That's really cool. That's awesome. And you can do this on the fly. The other thing is that I was just noticing that it felt very much like Halo. It felt very Halo-esque with the storyline. Like hearing when you were doing a mission with other NPC characters running along with you, I kept thinking of Nathan Fillion in Halo 5. His character, just the kind of the voiceover and stuff like that, it was really cool. And it's just neat to see that single player aspect of it. And I'm not one to play single player game campaigns, but this storyline looks good. So I'm totally in for that. And then they also talked about updates to the multiplayer that they fixed because of the tests and everything. So they really are listening to their player base.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to listen, and they're trying to add enough features so that the people who are away will come back, and to draw a new crowd who had word of mouth of, hey, when we were away the first time, the guys actually fixed the stuff that we were complaining about, and so they made it into a better game, which is all the better for that group, for a game that I believe has gone gold at this point. I'm pretty sure it has.
It has. Yeah, they just announced it went. They announced that it went gold. Vince.
Vincent Bella.
He was there and he announced they are gold. They are ready to go.
Yeah, they've had a good run with this. I think the numbers that came out for the anticipation of what Titanfall 2 is going to be is a little exceeding of what I feel like it probably is going to be even on 2 consoles, because I think they were looking for the somewhere above 10 million, which I think is a little much for that type of game, specifically with it coming out with a bunch of other games around it. But if it does better, maybe internally they were looking at 10 or 11, and they hit 8.5 to 9, and somebody will say, well, that's worth a sequel, and then they'll get it renewed again. So there's other things that we've added, especially for a game that we talked about last week that brought us right in the feels, Gears of War.
Yeah, so another game that was showcased on the show was the Gears of War Horde mode. So they're showing about how it goes on. You get this ability to where it's a, think of it as your Minecraft building desk. Basically, you go up, you get all your stuff out of it. Well, you can go up to this, you can place this box pretty much anywhere on the map, on any of the maps. What they wanted to do is, if you played Horde mode on Gears of War 2, you knew that Blood Drive was one of the best maps. If you were trying to go from rank 1 to 50, you knew that Blood Drive was one of the best maps to do it on. All the other ones were pretty difficult. Now it gives you the ability to play on pretty much any map, and it gives you, not only do you have your class bases that, can build specific things, but you can also pull items from this box as you kill waves. You get drops, and you can build, force shields and things like this to help kind of turn it into a tower defense game, if you will. And so it's going to be God, I'm just stoked. It looked good. Also, they announced a new 500 gigabyte Coalition Blue Xbox One S GameStop/Microsoft Store exclusive, and it looked really nice, and I kind of want it.
You also got to watch something, didn't you?
Oh, you're talking about the 20-minute? Oh my God. Okay, now you're talking about hitting in the field. So they sent out an invitation, and if you were like a Gears of War fan and you played a bunch of the games, Microsoft gave you 3 hours head start to go in and see 20 minutes of gameplay. It's the tutorial, but it's also the precursor to the game. And what they did is, I was talking about how I love Gears of War, and I love the lore, and I love the story, and I've read the books and everything. Well, what they did is they're like, well, we want to be able to have you learn the game, but we don't want to give away storyline of the actual campaign with doing this. So what they did is, we know that you guys all know the lore if you're a fan, or you know at least something of it. And so what they did is, you're going to go take control of characters that you've heard stories of throughout the game, or you may have bumped into them, or you've played as them, but something happened to them, early on. Well, you're going to go back through parts of the novels, like Asphalt Fields, which is part of the Pendulum Wars, which is freaking awesome. And you're going to experience segments in time prior to the original even Gears of War Emergence Day franchise, which was Gears of War 1. So it's going to be that was watching that. I was just like, I got chills. I was like, oh my God, they're bringing the books in. Oh, they're really paying attention to the fan with the lore and with the storyline of this. And I seriously cannot wait to get my hands on it.
This is a great move on their part to leak information about a game without actually leaking any gameplay about the game. It gets the hype level back up again, especially with being a month away. It gives them an opportunity to talk about Play Anywhere again, which is a huge deal for Xbox, so they get to mention that aspect. It also gets them to showcase and use the words in engine on Xbox One. No, we didn't use this on a Scorpio, which was another big deal because if you're bringing this game out and the graphic level looks that high, the first question out of everybody's mouth is it running on Scorpio or is it running on Xbox One? And immediately Phil Spencer was like, it's running on Xbox One. It's in engine. Don't worry about it. Like, it's not. There's no up-resing to this game aside from whatever the system can do, which I think is a big deal. Like, to me, it's a big deal because people will wait and they will be hesitant if they think something good or better is going to be out. I mean, I have plenty of friends right now that have their hands raised where it's like, well, I'm going to wait for the iPhone 8 because it's supposed to be the best one. It's supposed to be the anniversary edition, so I'm not going to spend my money, blah, 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 which is what people do. Like, people get in that mode, and they don't spend money because of that kind of stuff. So I think it's a really smart move on their part. And, like, speaking of Phil Spencer with the Scorpio, he had a talk. He was in Australia. He was at the Forza Horizon event and was talking about the importance of physical discs. And he mentioned in the conversation about how they made a conscious decision because of internet speed in places like the Netherlands and Australia, and how if you base everything upon a monetized system of online only, that it jams up people whose internet providers do not allow them to have enough internet speed or throttle them at a certain level. What do you think about this as far as it pertains to, and we're going to say air quotes, the Scorpio, because, I mean, it's not the real name of the system. He also mentioned that fact that name is going to leave this system within the next, 6 months. It'll actually be called what it's supposed to be called.
That's kind of interesting because, I mean, even a lot of our friends that are up in Canada, most provinces of Canada, they pay on a prorated, most of the internet companies up there pay on a prorated form of, you buy X amount of gigs of data usage a month, and anything overage you get charged on. And you get a game like Destiny or something like that, and it puts out a patch that's 12 gigs, or something like that. That's it's like that eats up your data real quick, especially if you're buying digitally.
The other big thing is when Phil talked about the pricing of the piece. I think that was for us as a consumer, price is the biggest deal. Like, you know what I mean? The 60 frames per second and the 4K is a big deal, but the price is actually the biggest deal because if this thing came out at $7 or $8.99, nobody would care. But he said that it was going to be price aligned with above level of the Xbox S. However, it's not going to be so outrageously priced that it's going to price them out of a market of a PC type game system. So, I think that's he didn't give out specifics, but that's specific enough for me. So I get a general feel that
I'm thinking that the Scorpio is going to be the original Xbox.
Yeah, $399 to $499, $399 to $499, right in that price range. They can justify it by the fact that it runs in natural 4K as opposed to be up-resed, and then it's going to have all of the gigabytes and all the space that's going to be needed for the piece.
Well, it's also basically set up for, I mean, it's set up to basically be a streaming machine. Yep. Like it out of the box, it will do everything you need. Mm-hmm. If they go along the lines with everything, all the updates they're supposed to be doing just to our consoles alone, pretty soon we're going to be able to, through a USB card, be able to put up our own overlays and stuff. They have a bunch of stuff that they're doing.
To be able to expand it is a huge deal. Like, that's what this is going to become. This is going to be a mix and play with where you can mix up the parts and decide what you're going to put in, add in, and get to play whatever system that you want to play it on. And it'll go universal at some point. But this is a nice.
Hey, Nintendo did it. Nintendo did it back in the day,
right?
With if you wanted to play Perfect Dark, you had to buy that. You had to buy that attached, that little brain update for your Nintendo 64.
And that's big for getting the streamers in, because people play the games that they watch their streamers play. They follow a famous streamer. That person buys their next system or switches systems, and they have the opportunity to play with that person, or they're making a decision which system to buy. They're going to buy the system their favorite streamer's playing. So getting more streamers playing on your system versus another where they actually have the choices, I think is going to be pretty big in helping regain the market share that they lost during the Xbox One launch.
Yeah, I mean, look how many people go and buy Astros. I mean, I love Astros in general, but look how many people go and buy Astros just because. I see Caucasian making a face. Just because Triple Rec's like, hey, look what I use.
Astros. Yeah, I love my Astros. My A40s are like my baby. I had the A50s.
I got
Need some
my Sennheiser Game Zeros.
Sennheiser. PlayStation has announced finally, when I say this, the PlayStation Experience. It's going to be December 3rd through the 4th. Tickets aren't that bad for a 2-day event, especially when I know this is in December, that's fine. It's early December, so I mean, it's right after Thanksgiving. Everybody has extra cash in their pockets, so whatever they announce is going to be out. I'm assuming, crossing my fingers, please, dear Lord, The Last Guardian is going to be available at this point. And they don't really have a huge lineup. They don't even have a huge third-party lineup. I mean, they're basically going to follow off of COD, and they're going to follow off of what else is going to be out for PS4 at this point? Battlefield, probably. Battlefield 1 is going to be out. COD, and that's maybe it. They're going to. The Last Guardian is probably their biggest show piece for the fourth quarter. But again, $60 for a 2-day event. You get to play on the PS4 Pro. You get to try out some new things. They always announce 1 or 2 games. Could this be the place where we end up getting some version of what Red Dead Redemption is going to be? Please, dear Lord.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is sounding like it's actually going to be a Xbox timed exclusive.
That's sounding like it's going to warm my heart up. And that's not bourbon talking. I would actually be my heart would actually be warmed up like. if that was the case, because I love Red Dead that much. But
it's also it's supposed to be like a launch title. Scorpio, if I remember correctly.
But the PlayStation experience is amazing. When you are able to have a whole entire conference that it used to be 1 day, is now 2 days, and it holds all of the big key players, to which this does. You're able to. It's almost like having the video game awards, but just for PlayStation in one spot, and so it holds precedence. And so you know that they're going to come out or try to come out with one piece that's completely different than everything they've done over the last year, because they have to. I mean, this is the one time they have an open mic, and so you want a mic drop against an invisible person. This would be a great place to do it.
And just as long as you're not that creepy guy that was announcing the PlayStation Pro, I don't know. That guy just made me feel like I needed to clench my cheeks.
Jeez. We were talking about the Xbox had an opportunity to have a Nintendo emulator on its system, and it was like, yep, it's gonna happen. It's no big deal. Emulators aren't the reason why people get busted. It's when they actually use the emulator that becomes the issue. The producing of the emulator is not a huge issue. However, when N64 had an emulator popped up, it was removed almost immediately by Xbox One. Can anybody answer what the issues might have been and the reason why, or what were some of the kickbacks on this emulator?
Well, I mean, it's going to be operating Nintendo games on a Microsoft system, so there has to be some licensing issues going across there. I mean, even if it's just an emulator on it, there has to be some issues pushing those games across the system. But as you were talking earlier about this, it's like the people that bought it are going to be able to keep it. So somebody who screwed up and put it out there, and now that people have it, they'll be able to keep it. But yeah, it's just too many legal issues, I think, for that.
Speaking of legal issues, No Man's Sky is now being investigated by an advertising standards authority in England about the fact that what they had as far as their preview and how they described the game was not indicative of what the game was or is. It would basically, and this is, I talked about this earlier. If anybody has somebody who's like, I'm going to turn you guys into the Better Business Bureau because this is not what I paid for, that's exactly what this is. The Advertising Standards Authority is a European authority that does everything the Better Business Bureau does, and it basically listens and hears all complaints and then files whatever the complaint is against whoever the person is that you're filing it against. They have so much time in order to react and send information, and then by an independent jury, it's decided upon. If it's me, and I'm guessing this independent jury is not going to go all balls out on this. what they're going to do is going to look at it. They're going to be like, well, the graphics on that don't look like the graphics on that, and the story base doesn't look like it says it was. And all of a sudden, you're going to be in a heap of trouble if you're No Man's Sky, and you're going to be backpedaling.
Yeah, and from what they have, like they already have the worst bad press you can imagine releasing a game. Nobody is speaking highly of it in the press for the most part, and they're coming out and saying, "Look, we have all this evidence out there of what they advertise and what's not in game," and they're going to be presenting that evidence in their case. And if a lot of people stack onto it, like one person raises their hand up, but if they're found in wrong, that's a lot of people that can raise their hand up and use this as precedence, so they could put them in a world of hurt if this is used as precedence at court.
Hello Games has just gone radio silent. Like it's almost embarrassing at this point.
Right.
And Damien, to your point about the whole YouTube and gaming and Sean hopping on their site, personally, I don't even own the game. It felt, maybe you can say something to this, but like too little, too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way too late.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, I mean, when you're
See, I still want to play it. Like, I'm serious. Launch it on Xbox. Bring it to Xbox. I'll play it.
I'll let you borrow my Steam account and you can. Don't buy it.
Just play it for free.
Don't even buy it.
Don't spend your money on this. Play it for free.
If this game had crap the bed all over it, when Shuhei Yoshida comes out and he's the head of third parties and says, "Yeah, you're right. They did promise this and nothing. It actually didn't do that." And they own the company. They own this. It's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. And so, PS, I'm sure Sony feels the repercussions of this because they laid a bunch of horses on this. They thought they were going to win the race with this thing, and it just turned out that Xbox, for right or for wrong, decided not to invest enough money into this thing, or it became a huge issue. They backed away from it, and now they get to reap all the rewards of the fact that this isn't at all what anybody had anticipated.
Yep.
And they were more in the group of, well, I told you so. Like, I told you this was not going to happen. I told you it wasn't going to be this way. And he just went, the thing of it is he went on every late night talk show. And he raised, like, for me, it was just like, what are you doing? It's this, it's this. And then you get in the game, it's not that at all. Not even close. Like, there's no dinosaurs. What are you talking about? We can't see each other. We can't see each other from now till forever. Yeah, well, you might have an encounter with somebody. Nope, there's no encounter with anybody. It was just bad. And again, I'm from afar, so please take my whatever I say with a grain of salt. Faust is the one who owns it.
So you can't even if you do bump into somebody, you can't.
Day one, 2 players got onto the exact same planet, and they positioned themselves to the exact same spot on the planet, and you can see their streams side by side. They're both looking at the exact same lake. They've seen the exact same dinosaur or whatever creature it is walking past their screens. They turn to face each other. There's nothing there.
Pretty bad. We've got some. I would like to do the do that we were supposed to do earlier for Damien and what he was talking about. Cajun, you got some news?
Yeah, this news just hit my phone while we were recording this episode. So when it actually publishes, it might not be breaking news, but I really wanted to see some of your reactions when I read it, so I didn't put it in the notes. But during an interview with IGN on the Westworld red carpet, filmmaker J.J. Abrams revealed that his Portal and Half-Life movies are still in the works.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I almost put that in earlier. I read
Excellent.
about
that. Can he confirm that his Half-Life game is in the works?
He did not.
Can we confirm
he only confirmed.
That is not confirmed.
Only confirmed the movies. He said
Can we
both
please
films
confirm
are
a game?
still very much in development.
Still in deep development.
And
If you think about it, though, it's a movie about a game. Most likely, it'll get a game about the movie, at the very least.
well, considering it's Valve and they really control what exits their studio. Half-Life 3 not confirmed. I would be surprised if something subpar leaves their studio. If it is going to come out, it's going to be with the polish that they're going to have on there. And he said basically they have a meeting next week with Valve. They're very active with them. He's hoping to announce the Portal very soon. And he's having some really interesting discussion with writers many of whom, once you said you're doing a movie or a show about a specific thing that's a known quantity, they find these rabid fans. And so someone who loves playing Half-Life and Portal, which J.J. Abrams does, and he starts talking with a movie about this, he just finds people who just get it, and they're really seeding to this incredible tree. So somebody that strong, that good of a movie maker who's made great properties is that excited about these two gaming properties turning into movies. That gets me excited.
Wasn't he originally looking to have Sandra Bullock play the main character
Shell?
from Portal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that it hasn't been announced, but yeah, she could be a good shout. I would think they might go younger, but
Go with a little younger.
But because
yeah.
you really don't need star power to carry a title like this, but
No,
to cross
not at all.
over into like the mainstream, you might need somebody with some name power to be able to at least get it started. Because a lot of people who never play games who would like this storyline a lot.
Oh, you know who else would be good? Gal who plays Lady Civ in Thor. I can't think of the actress's name at the
Natalie
top of my
Portman?
head. No, not Natalie Portman. She plays. She's also the main character in Blind Spot.
Oh, no, that's you're talking about, but I don't know her name. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pulling
Yeah.
blank.
So not leading
Well-
actress material name because you can't think of it.
No. There was also some breaking news that came across yesterday about my favorite game so far of 2016, which was Firewatch. It looks like the writer of Firewatch, Veneman, who also wrote the original Walking Dead for Telltale for the entire first season, there's a script in the works in order to turn Firewatch into a movie, which I think is really, really cool. I don't want to give away all of Firewatch, even though the spoilers should be, like, at this point, we're far enough away. But the basis of the movie is a man who's alone, in first person, using a walkie-talkie, speaking to someone he cannot see, in order to take care of a forest. And so the hope is, because Sean has such great creativity in Firewatch and in The Walking Dead, they're going to allow him the ability to write script for this film. Because imagine being in the woods by yourself with just a walkie-talkie and only the person that you cannot see for the entire movie on the other line. Almost like Phone Booth with, was supposed to be Will Smith, but I can't remember who it was. But a movie in which it's like one character who's playing against a camera who has somebody else on the other line for the entire movie. It's going to be a difficult task, but something that like is definitely attainable and could turn from what seems like maybe a silly genre from, game to movie to something that actually is feasible from game to movie, which would be absolutely fantastic for the genre.
Oh, yeah.
Now, would they film it kind of like they did Hardcore Henry, where they'd film it with GoPros?
The hope is that way because remember that you never see the face of the lead character ever.
Yeah.
You only see arms, and you never see
That'd be a really good psychological thriller.
It would be. You never see the protagonist. All you hear is her voice on the other line, which is the basis of the film. So it's like it's first person and a line. So how they are able to accomplish that over a major movie production, I'm not sure. But the storytelling in this game tells me that it has as good a shot as any in order to make that occur and actually be a decent film.
That's awesome. Also, the wife messaged me and let me know the actress we're looking for, Jamie Alexander.
Okay.
That is the actress that we're the name.
So last but not least, we're going to head into tech and geek history. I was going to talk about my first week with the iPhone 7 Plus, but I already see the hat of Brandon going down because he gets real flustered when any word that begins with Apple is mentioned. Yeah. It's all right.
He's giving video cues on an audio podcast.
Audio podcast, right? The iPhone 7 Plus for me has been kind of refreshing as opposed to the 6. I had the 6 Plus. I never had the 6C or the 6S. Pardon me. The battery life on it is at least a minimum of double. Lickety splits on the iOS. It is super intuitive. It kind of goes through a much quicker pace than I'm accustomed to the point where I'm almost like trying to catch up. The addition of stickers, memes, and GIFs in your tweet, or I say tweet, I'm thinking of Twitter. In your actual message to whomever you're sending it to is fantastic. And they also took the time and consideration to go through each one of the applications, and the drill down on them has been superb. Like, typically I'm waiting a week to 10 days in order to get what I want on my phone in order for it to make it work. And on this phone, it took less than 2 days. And shout out to the process that you go through with Apple Store when you go through these. I know people hate on Apple. I complained and moaned about the 3-hour process that I spent at Best Buy in order to get my Note 7 before I had the recall on it. I was in an Apple Store for, I believe, a total of maybe 15 minutes. And that was maxed at 15 minutes. It was probably shorter than that. And I had my phone activated, still in the box, not even open and sealed, and was told to be on my way, and I would be happy. And the fact that you can do that on a cell phone makes me the happiest dude in the whole entire world, because I hate the process of going through Best Buy and those damn phones.
Yep.
So now we're talking on to something that Damien brought to my attention, which my kid's a Boy Scout, so like this is kind of cool. Like, I mean, if they're gonna add this to the Girl Scouts.
Yeah. So the Girl Scouts now have a badge for video game design. So they are now having a way that you can, if you take some time to learn how to program some games and whatnot, you can gain a badge for video game design. Now, the badge that they showed has a PlayStation logo in the center of it. So I have a feeling Sony might be a little bit behind some support for the Girl Scouts.
Here's your badge if you pledge to the Legion of PlayStation.
Or the Girl Scout mom who designed that badge just went to the kids' system and was like, "When did game design? What's the logo on there?" And just threw that on.
But yeah, it was actually really cool. They announced that actually also on that YouTube Gaming Live show that Kate was on earlier. I saw that, like that is pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
Hopefully Boy Scouts get something like that here soon.
So as far as this week in Geek, we have a couple items that have been brought to our attention. Specifically, one that brings back the Nintendo feels. N64 is now 20 years old. It makes me feel super old because I remember when this game system came out. Speaking of things that are this week in Geek, we're going to go all the way back. We're going to turn the clock back to 2008 when Google and T-Mobile, T-Mobile, I'm just going to throw that out there one more time, introduced the T-Mobile G1, also known as the HTC Dream. It was the world's first Android-based smartphone, which nowadays, the sales numbers, Android is the most popular smartphone platform in the market, bar none. Even though everybody screams and goes towards Apple, to Brandon's chagrin, I can see him smiling right now. It's because they have 8 bazillion versions of Android phones out there, as opposed to the one Apple phone you see every, But to the point, it's a major market, and it was the first of its kind, which is like pretty special.
And it's extremely smart of Google to do that too, because iPhone and Apple were controlling the marketplace. Everybody was trying to make their own platform to be the next iOS, and they came in there and just said, "Look, we're your third party. We're going to third party it. We'll be your operating system. You just make the phones, and we'll make an operating system that can compete, because you need an app store, and you need one to be an app store." And that was brilliant by them. Google's made some brilliant moves, and that one is right up there, one of their most brilliant moves.
Definitely a smart move. Looks like we've come to the end of our podcast. This is the area in which we get everybody to know who we are, and where we're going to be. Derek, where can people find you at?
Okay, you can find me on Twitter at ESP Instigator. It's ESPINSTIGATOR. And on Twitch at CAU Caucasian_Saint. And then also all over Slack in the Uprising Family Gaming Network.
Awesome. Brandon, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at BE_FOUTZ. You can find us on Twitch at Project Fenrir Gaming, or on Beam for Fenrir Gaming. And you can find us right here on Geekologist Radio, and send us emails or send us tweets. Our Twitter is Geekologist Radio, minus the T because of character restrictions, and geekologistradio@gmail.com.
And nobody cares where they can find you, Damien. No, I mean, I'm just kidding. Like, where? Oh, I'm just messing.
He's trying to get me to drop an N.
I'm just messing. Well, he's gonna draw the D word soon. So, like, where?
He loves the D word.
He loves the D.
guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, you can find.
So where can we find you
me
at?
Mr. Damien. Hey, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Damien Nash.
And that is
And all the
spelled
other
ILOVED.
Hey. And all the other places that Mr. Faust said.
And you can find me at Two Wolves, TWOWOLVZZ, Twitter, Facebook, Xbox, PS4. You can find me any of those spots. And for the Geekologist crew, we are meowt.